good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Roshli from the medical team of USV, and a very warm welcome to all the delegates to this session on Future Plus with a distinct theme as always, pseudoscience. So, pseudoscience is often presented as a legitimate science which can mislead individuals seeking medical advice. Unverified claims and treatments can lead to delayed or improper medical care. It may also erode the trust of the patients in the evidence-based medicines. When patients encounter conflicting information, it becomes challenging to make informed decisions about their health. Healthcare professionals play a pivotal role in combating pseudoscience. So let us hear from our experts today how to combat pseudoscience. Before I hand over the session to our course mentor, Dr. Unnikrishnan sir, let me have the privilege to kindly welcome sir. Dr. A.G. Unnikrishnan sir is an endocrinologist and CEO of Chellaram Diabetes Institute, Pune, a leading diabetes institute in India and an International Diabetes Federation certified center for education and excellence in diabetes care. He heads the newly formed Chellaram Diabetes Research Center. He has published the largest multi-center study of subjects with pancreatitis and pancreatic diabetes worldwide, in addition to his more than 200 PubMed indexed publication. Huge number, sir. He has numerous awards to his credit, naming a few: Jacob Memorial Prize for the Best Patient Care, T-Tech Award for the Excellence in Diabetes and Technology, and also VC Matthew Roy Oration. Sir has edited various journals like Indian Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism and Journal of Thyroid Research and Practice. He is also the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Chronicles of Diabetes Research and Practice. It is great to have you here with us today, sir. I welcome you on behalf of Team USV, and with this note, I would like to hand over the session to you for the further proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Ashley, and greetings to all. This is a very popular program because we look at how the dynamics of clinical practice change. And while the dynamics of clinical practice change, we discuss how we doctors have to equip ourselves with skill sets which make us ready for the future. So it is very practical, and all the seasons have been great hits. These are the various modules covered, and we are into the season 4, where we look at several aspects. This is the agenda for today. We are going to look at pseudoscience, because pseudoscience can harm, and we don't want our patients to suffer because of pseudoscience. So after an introduction, we will have a panel discussion, and then we will have a future-ready modern sulfonylurea and metformin symposium. So let's look at pseudoscience in the digital age today, because the digital age has accelerated not just the flow of information, but also the flow of misinformation and fake news. So we have excellent faculty. The first expert panelist, may I introduce a good friend, and I consider him one of the endocrinologists very close to me. Is Dr. Mohan Shenoy. He's endocrinologist at the Sree Gokulam Medical College and Research Foundation in Thiruvananthapuram. He has more than 30 publications in index journals, textbook chapters, is an editorial board of the Journal of Thyroid Research and Practice, in addition to several journals. He's a faculty in several national, international fora. He's also a very prolific presence on social media and has an intuitive understanding of how the internet, the social media works. He received the Endocrine Society of India President's Appreciation Award, has won several awards, is now the executive committee member of both the Indian Thyroid Society and the Endocrine Society of India. He has been coordinator for several conferences and looks after the social media handles very aptly. And overall, he's a very warm and a good human being.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm happy to be a student, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. Second, we have Dr. Basavaraj G.S, who is a consultant in diabetes and endocrinology at the Narayana Institute of Cardiac Sciences, Bangalore. And he has won the Academic Award for Excellence at the PGIMR, has won the Endocrine Hawkeye Award from Calcutta, the Wise Owl Award from Calcutta. So he's a hawk and an owl. and he is a national level participant in the TISA Award, Merit Scholarship, has been investigator in various clinical trials, including the prestigious Emperor clinical trial, and is a member of Endocrine Society of India, Karnataka Endocrine Society, has several publications. So welcome. It's a pleasure to have an eminent personality like Dr. Basavaraj. Dr. Basavaraj, welcome to this forum.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And third, we have Dr. Ipsita Mishra. She's an assistant professor in the Department of Endocrinology at Berhampur, and she's also a diabetes and endocrinology specialist at the MKCG Medical College and Hospital, Cuttack. A member of various societies, won gold medals, topper in the Hawkeye Award, runner-up in TISA, several publications, poster and paper presented at various conferences. So we have Dr. Basavaraj, Dr. Mohan, Dr. Ipsita, a host of stellar, wonderful faculty. And
Thank you, sir.
we also have a wonderful audience out there. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Ipsita Mishra. Thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure, sir.
And we have the first opinion poll for the audience. And this is a topic of very close to most doctors because our patients suffer from pseudoscience and its implications. And we can be as frank in talking about it as we want to because we are in a panel discussion of doctors. So only we doctors are here and the audience is also doctors. The first question to the entire audience is, do you see pseudoscience as a challenge in today's medicine? We know the answer, but doctors, please answer yes or no. With that, I'll stop sharing the screen and let's look at the poll reports and request the USV team to project the results as well as the forthcoming slides. So while we are beginning, may I request Dr. Mohan to give his views about the concept of pseudoscience and the key challenges and why we should discuss this topic in today's landscape.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, dear panelists, and good evening, dear organizers. Let me thank the team USP for giving us the opportunity to discuss this very important topic at this digital era. So without much ado, I'll just start off because when I was told that this is a topic of interest, it is very close to my heart because 2018 onwards, we have been running the endocrine awareness as well as halt diabetes campaigns as part of the community awareness programs. And I was the person who was spearheading along with Dr. Kaldra sir, Gagan Priya ma'am, and a host of others endocrinologists. And we have seen so many last year's issues as well. During the COVID pandemic, people were sitting at home till last year and they were all exposed to the myths. Insulin should not be given for type 1, can be stopped. So many things had happened in digital era. So I think pseudoscience is a collective idea which says that there is a cultural gap, there is an ethical issue, there are some dilemmas, there are some misconceptions, and as well as some unhygienic things which readily come to the mind and they stick to the mind and they argue that it is right. So there are so many examples around us without hurting anybody and without harming anybody's interest. We should accept all other scientific beliefs because we are practicing modern medicine. We are practicing allopathy previously, but now it is called modern medicine. And so many things which are hindering us because as modern medicine practitioners, we are not supposed to advertise ourselves because we should not say we are claiming to be the best among the medical streams. But one common thing is that our medical system has gone through the trials of literature, the trials of the studies, as well as the molecules which we give for our patients have gone through so many years of research. So I think searching for the right answer may not be easy, but the first opening statement or remark from my side is that it is scientific thinking and reasoning are very important things and are the cornerstone for modern medicine. And science means three things, that is analysis, rational thinking, as well as comprehension. Because whenever we teach science to a next person, it should be sensible. So whenever we say this medicine works for you, it always means that we have actually experienced the better things from that medicine and it has worked well. And similar thing is that we have to accept the changing concepts also, because even the other streams give you some good thoughts, because metformin is previously a herbal medicine and it has come, and modern medicine people have embraced it and researched it. That's why I think that the modern medicines and the scientific reasoning should be definitely told. And whenever we hear about the pseudoscience, we are definitely going to learn more from them as well. We should learn what is there in that, and we should think and then only apply them and analyze that in our practice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for answering that question about science, and let's have the poll reports. So, I mean, almost 100% have said that pseudoscience is a problem. Every day, we see patients who consult Google Doctor and WhatsApp universities. So, in that regard, let's have the second question to the audience. What are the effective ways to tackle pseudoscience? Is it to promote scientific literacy? Is it for public awareness campaigns? Is it through combating medical misinformation? So how to tackle pseudoscience? Literacy, public awareness, just directly fighting and combating medical misinformation, or all of the above? While we wait and see what our audience thinks, let me ask Dr. Ipsita Mishra, can you give some examples where your patients have consulted Dr. Google before actually seeing when they meet you? And how do healthcare professionals like us tackle these online driven challenges in our practice?
Thank you, sir. Well, sir, majority of the patients who belong to the elite and rather the more educated class and rather more belonging to the scientific fields, not to the medical science, but to the other scientific areas, they are the one who are driven to the Google universities. So they, of course, when they get when a new health related issue crops up in their life, so they want to become so aware about it, how it is going to affect me or my entire family around me. So before coming to us, they'd of course go through all that and do a basic homework, and they come to us. Now, I will not say that definitely there are some information, those
Yes.
people who go onto the scientific parts and who go to the data which is reliable, probably they get a good reliable information from those areas. And we have the gray aspect is also there are certain uh, websites, certain fields where we do not get the exact accurate information. So it is a thinking of their mind, Dr. Mohan has already said. So abstract thinking, logical reasoning, and how you want to apply them. So all these things, it involves in their mind. And human mind is set to the fact that we want comfort inside our mind. Okay, this is not going to harm us to that extent. Now, after the basic homework, when they come to us, especially the younger ones, those who are educated, and they are also in some other technical fields, when they come to us with those basic information and they question us, it is very difficult for any healthcare professional to address that. Usually the outcome is, because we do have lack of time in our clinical practice, when they bombard us with questions of the knowledge that they have, then we also do not like to answer them in a very open way. So probably that will lead to a patient doctor relationship gap will increase further. So I think we should have a sense of empathy and a concern for what they are projecting out, and then try to explain them in a better way that probably these facts which they are believing are not true to the extent, and there are what the scientific facts are there, what are evidence based, which research has that we should try a little bit to explain to them and give time to them. So of course time is very important, where they will also accept it, because if the acceptance part is not there on their part, then again definitely the doctor patient distance widens, the gap widens, and they will also not be benefited much. So I do face that in my practice, especially people who are more of the educated class and people, the younger generation people, sir.
I think wonderfully said. So, few important points by Dr. Ipsita is: number one, it is the educated and aware people who consult internet. And second, they may end up with half-baked knowledge. Third is, sometimes it's a good thing because they come prepared. And fourth, we should be empathetic or we should show empathy to these people rather than trying to deny them or defend them or discourage them, because the more they know, the better it is for us. May we have the answers to the poll while we are speaking. And in this regard, I'd like to narrate a story of a patient who came and met me last week. Well, the poll says all the above: literacy, fighting misinformation, all the above. So I'd like to narrate a story of a patient who came about, I think, last week or a few weeks ago. Patient was a simple case of Hashimoto's thyroiditis with autoimmune hypothyroidism. And the patient came and met me, and the first thing I asked, okay, how did you find about this hospital, Chellaram Hospital, and how did you find out about me? Were you referred? So the patient said, no, doctor, I consulted the internet, I consulted Google, I went through your publications, you've done work on thyroid. So that made me very, very happy. Oh my God. So Google is correct. It's giving all the correct information. So I sort of patted myself on the back. Oh yes, Google is great. Then I said, okay, what specific concern have you come with? Then the patient said, doctor, I've heard that, the thyroid, autoimmune thyroid disease is completely permanent damage to the thyroid. So can we do thyroid transplantation to correct autoimmune thyroid disease? I mean, we are all smiling, but it is actually, the patient has genuinely come and taken an appointment to ask autoimmune thyroid disease is corrected, not by simple thyroxine, but by transplantation. So I asked, why did you get this idea? Because it can be easily treated with thyroxine. No, I heard that medicines have got side effects and I don't want to take medicine. I don't like to take medicine. I heard thyroxine causes heart disease and bone disease and all that. So I don't want to take. So in that one patient, I understood both the stories. One is that yes, Google and WhatsApp universities can help you, because if you are a good doctor, empathetic doctor, patients may discuss among themselves, they may put reviews in the net, they may write about the hospital, they may be able to search out what you do, because unlike previous years, if you are published or if you are in the academics, you will be present on the internet, and that's a good thing. But the bad thing is that patients might sometimes not be able to search and get the right information. They may be getting the wrong information, but it is how we guide the patient that is important. So we should remain open to their thoughts, whatever they have read, and correct it. Well, as Dr. Mishra said, we have to spend time with the patient, but time may not be available always for answering every question. Patient will come with a list of 100 questions, and we may not be able to answer everything, but we can try our best, and then we can tell them to email it to us, and we can reply later. And another problem that could happen is the patient's impression, and this is a very common impression, that like Dr. Mohan Shenoy mentioned, allopathy is called modern medicine. But patients believe that allopathy is got side effects, and these side effects are more harmful. They will not say that blindness due to diabetic retinopathy is harmful, but they'll say that insulin is harmful, or that they won't say that heart attack is harmful, but they will think statin is harmful. And one of the reasons is that the perception that alternative medicines are very safe. So this question is to Dr. Basavaraj. In your practice, how do you find patients? Can you narrate some story of patients taking alternative medicines in your care? And when this patient is coming with alternative medicine, I mean, how do you tackle these issues? Especially, we are talking about diabetes management.
Yeah, right, sir. So probably I don't have to even stretch out to my professional expertise also. Okay, I get even every month, my mom has undifferentiated arthritis. So every month she gives me a call. Hey, I saw this ad on the net. Can I buy this? So I'm like, Mom, whatever you have bought it already, please throw it in the dustbin. So this is how it happens. And my dad just confirms that yes, she has bought. She sends a picture, he sends a picture while I'm talking. And then he tells kid, this is how misinformation or pseudoscience. Alternate medicine. Again, just going by one professional thing. One of our manager who works in Narayana, a senior manager, again came down today. He himself works in Narayana. His elder brother is a gastroenterologist practicing in Patna. Mother, father, both are father was educated in educated and settled in army. He has got a decent CGHS, ECHS backup for his for his covering the medical expenses and medical care. In spite of that, they keep on going to this alternate medicine. If we just slightly think a bit deep, like if we deep dive, like why this happens, this comes just because of the sheer belief, like what we all the Uni sir was telling, Mohan sir was telling, that belief that probably which is evident, which is not evidence, but it's an evident belief, again comes out of their thing, which feels like, and this is probably, as we have also been talking of the cultural and the social class and the educational class. The educational class sort of goes more with the online sort of a story. The not so very tech savvy, not so this thing goes more so with that of the social. Everyone thinks that Ayurveda heals. All of my relatives think that Ayurveda heals. So that's again one of those influences which actually makes them try. And absolutely in diabetes, we have got a huge lot of psychological disease burden. Sometimes which we fail to address them. That no, yes, this is going to be a problem, but yes, you have to control it. Controlling of diabetes is going to make you a lot better in terms of complications, and on all of those aspects, we have to sit with them and talk to them. So then again, how do we navigate this situation? First, accepting the fact that patient can also look for alternate options other than medicine. Okay, try to be open in your discussions with them, sitting with them and trying to talk. Yes, Ayurvedic medicine was, if you believe, let so be, but I'm not an expert in that. So probably you'll have to probably consult someone else there. I usually don't go with co-prescribing of Ayurvedic medicine with allopathic medicines. I just take them through the journey of a couple of my patients who have landed up in CKD, trying to take some Ayurvedic medicines, and then again comes the notion, no doc, sugar medicine खाओगे तो आपका kidney तो वैसे भी fail हो जाएगा. It is not about that. Insulin चालू करोगे तो फिर तो आपका kidney fail हो जाएगा. It's just about the bias where patients have been started on insulin after CKD has come out, because the EGFR is so bad that you cannot use any of the medicines given available, which was true at least until 10 years back. Now we have got a couple of medicines at least, but the best again in the class for that class of patients is insulin. So you'll have to probably, the best way to navigate is try to sit with them, understand the concerns, why they want to go to the alternate medicine, and try to debunk those myths that probably this is not how what you're thinking is true. And when this classical dialogue of risk and adverse effect comes, then I usually try to tell them that there's always a risk benefit ratio to every action which we take in our life. I'm sitting here, there's a risk benefit ratio. The risk is that the roof might fall, the chair might collapse, something might burst, but the chance of such a thing happening in a safe environment like this where I'm sitting right now is very, very, very less. But the benefit is quite huge, that I can do so much of things what I want to do. So the benefit overrides risk by so many millions of times. So that's the risk benefit ratio. Do we not travel in cars? Yes, we do travel in cars. So again, there's a risk benefit ratio. So the risk is of meeting up in an accident, not even because of our mistake, but someone else's mistake also. But how do you cover up the benefits? You wear your seat belt, get your tire pressures checked, take a good car, and take up all of those, follow the traffic rules. So that's how you tilt all of that whole of the journey towards more of benefit and less of risk. So if you start talking in these terms, then usually most of my patients, 90% of the patients, try to understand what I am trying to tell. And usually they agree that no doc, ठीक है, we'll give you one try. ठीक है कि आपका दवाई भी खा के देख लेते हैं. And that is my chance. That is where I have to go in, show them what good sugars can do, what good sugars can do with good quality of life and how it can improve. Then follow-up comes down, then the trust builds up, and then the journey rolls on to the good side.
I think very well said. I really like your example of informing patients common situations like driving a car or crossing a road, and understanding that there are risks, but the risks are minimal in a very safe environment. Like there may be risks of medication, but those risks are minimal when we are on close follow-up and monitoring. And more important, and also very importantly, that the disease itself is more risky than the treatment. People are worried about the treatment, but the disease is more risky than the treatment. And the third thing which I want to say is that, patients today, the point you made about kidney disease and CKD, very important point, because what patients will do, when you advise the patient insulin, the patient will go and meet several doctors who say, don't give insulin, just try tablets, try some tablets with some alternative treatment. Finally, the patient will be on tablets, insulin will not be added, sugar will be high, sugar will remain high. Because of the sugar, they'll get kidney failure, and then they'll come and tell you, tablets ne mera kidney ko kharab kar diya. But it is actually the uncontrolled glucose that has damaged the kidney and not the tablets. So this is a message I tell the patient. Patient will ask, sir, ये दवाई का कुछ effect है क्या? Side effect है क्या? I said, हाँ है side effect. क्या है sir? अच्छा side effect है. It may save your life. It may protect your kidneys. It may protect your heart. These are the side effects of the medicine. Think about the effect rather than for focusing on the side effect of the medicine. So I think it's important for us to highlight all these points. And see, alternative forms of medicine are here to stay. We cannot wish them away. They are here to stay. So no point in, I feel no point. It's important for us to remain dignified, and no point in criticizing some other stream of medicine, Ayurvedic or homeopathic or whatever it is. So if the patient's sugars are controlled and patient is doing well, I'll say, I don't know anything about this. Please continue your drugs. Your sugar is controlled. You take a call. I can't talk about. Then patient will say, what about side effects of the medicine? I said, I'm not an expert on side effects of Ayurveda or homeopathy. Allopathy, I know because these drugs have had toxicity studies and side effect studies already done. But unfortunately, I'm not aware of toxicity. I may not be aware of toxicity studies. I may not be the right person. If the patient's sugar is high, I generally don't like to mix two streams. I definitely stop the alternative medicine, and then it's easier to convince them to go on to the allopathic stream of medicine. One of my friends, colleagues, he tells the patient is on, say, alternative medicine, then you have given some pills and the sugar gets controlled, and patient says, sir, my sugar got controlled on the alternative medicine. So the doctor will say, yes, your sugar got controlled on the alternative medicine, but please don't stop my medicine. It's a request. Because let the patient actually give credit to the alternative medicine. We are interested in our patients doing well. So get the patient to continue the medicine so that they do well. And this is a claim that diabetes cure,
Yeah.
People say that diabetes can be reversed, diabetes can be cured, so many other things. We have actually a very high number of doctors watching this program, 1,300 doctors live right now. So huge number for an online meeting. And this has always been the case with this program, very, very highly attended. And Dr. Ipsita Mishra, how do you look at this claims of diabetes cure, which are propagated online? Somebody, HbA1c came down from 12 to 7 or 6. They used alternative therapy, they did low carb, they did keto, they did some other form of therapy, they did intermittent fasting, they used sensor. Sensor is not going to control the sugar. Sensor is a tool to measure the sugar. But patient thinks, sensor pe na diabetes ठीक हो गया. So all these things are going to happen. How do you look at all these claims of cure in your practice?
So these are, to be honest, these are very sensitive things to address directly to any patient, because the expectation of cure, remission, it is there in majority of the patients. And of course, we know, as you have already rightfully told, we are not here to disregard any other platforms, but there are sources which say that it can be completely cured. Diabetes can be completely cured irrespective of whatever age, this, that. It is there throughout and throughout in all various kinds of social media. Expectations from people when they come to us, majority of them, they do have inside and many of them, they do speak it out. But then again, that thing has to be explained to them in a very sensitive note, that it may not be cured completely. We do identify that these are the patient groups who will go into remission, like young aged ones who have got a lower HbA1c on site, who can adhere to LSM and some form of drug therapy, especially metformin. We know that there is data that diabetes can go into remission, but depending upon the patient selection criteria. Patient will not know that which criteria he fits in. Supposedly, if he fits into these criteria, then of course we can tell that maybe we cannot say that yes, maybe because you fit have got the good features, that you may not need a pill after 6 months, because you have these features, and still you adhere to what advice I am telling, be on my follow-up, then definitely that will give a good hope to him. But then we should identify majority of the patients will not go into remission. Only there are few criteria which has been proven by evidence. So that thing has to be told to them on a very simple, sensitive issue, on a very relatively polite and empathetic way, so that the patient can accept it. And then again, he comes back to you on a follow-up. Otherwise, he will change his physician. He will go to his local physician, especially in the rural areas, villages, type 2, type 3 tier cities. That's what happens. And then when they come back to you, they come back to you in a very uh, uh, I mean, I would like to say in a completely broken way, when you have to fit them into pieces. So explaining to them that probably you will need therapy for a longer time, probably this is going to happen, and you may need the drug along with adherence to other features, especially the lifestyle part and other things. That needs to be told to the patient, and so that he is with you for a longer time and does not change you. If that is there, then that it will be advantageous, both mostly for our patient, and of course we will also be satisfied that we are able to convince him. And the part which is there in the online, in the Google era, in the AI era, about the advertisements, about the things, sir, we cannot do anything about that, because we are a huge population. Only thing which we can do is when they come to us on a one-to-one basis, or through some awareness programs, as Dr. Mohan said, endocrine awareness, halt diabetes, some form of mass media education, where people think that no, this may happen, this may not happen. That is what is my take, sir.
I think wonderful take. I think, as you said, we cannot set out to solve all the problems in the world of misinformation, because we are just doctors seeing patients, and we can correct our patient misinformation. And to the extent possible, what we can do is that we can be active ourselves on social media, so that we are a doctor seeing patients, but we can also be present on social media in other forums, so news, radio, magazines, so that we can give the right message. So our duty is both a dualistic approach. I wrote an editorial in the Indian Journal of Endocrinology Metabolism that diabetes requires a dualistic approach. Endocrinologists should sit in the clinic, but we should also interact with the community immediately around us, trying to educate, make them aware. And it's important, like Dr. Mishra said, that to support the care in a very long term, because patient is influenced by social media. And here, may I ask Dr. Mohan, have you observed your patients being, you are an influencer on social media, and you are an influencer in a good way. You give the right information, the good influence, you spread positivity. Have you seen, how does this influencing of patient occur? And have you seen patients getting influenced? And once patients are influenced, how do you de-influence them in a good way to come back to health? How do you do that? Well, it's very difficult, but how? What are your thoughts? What can be done?
Yes, sir. Thankfully, I am very active enough to understand this problem, because I've seen people who are coming with prescriptions of odd prescriptions. I think I won't blame it, because some prescriptions do carry some two different groups of sulfonylureas in the same prescription, then two different groups of glyphosins as well. So maybe I think scientific shortcomings are also there, because one of the things which I find that diabetes care, particularly we are dealing with diabetes as such, there are some shortcomings which may be because of the lack of the understanding. So maybe whenever we tell because we should look at the mirror ourselves as well, because we are to be blamed for some of the things which are happened, because we are not, because as we go for CME programs and so many other programs, we are understanding the issues which we are also faced. So keeping that aside, so one of the things which I feel is that some shortcomings do exist in the gaps which we understand, because there is some explanatory shortcomings, because sometimes we lack time to explain that is happening, this is happening, and we stop conversations like that. And the person who comes with that patient may not be the person who's influencing that patient. So they may go home, they go back home to their family groups. From there, somebody gives them the idea that this is the happening to you. Why didn't you ask the doctor this question? So then they write a mail to you, they write a message to you. Doctor, I forgot this question. I will come and ask you this question, and this goes. And that is what shortcomings do happen. And we understand that the confusion between the medicines, the confusion between the brands, all these things are happening. And then the power which we know, because we can address their small gaps, because the insulin dose, maybe they are using the different type of the device as well, because some small issues which they are not happening addressing, they may go on the net and they search and they find with the solutions for that. So that is one thing. So one is the shortcomings which exist. Then second is the research gaps, outcome oriented. So I think summarizing your question, sir, pseudoscience is basically a philosophical encounter with which we face on this thing, whereas the pseudoscience and practical issues are a socio-cultural demographic issue. So it is not easy to address that, because we understand that we can argue with the patient, and finally what the patient does is they go back to the same old things. So we lose our time. So I think counseling the patient as a team is one which I do in my practice. If I lose my control or thing, I tell them, you go to my sister, she has more time than me. You come back after 10 minutes and I will give you an answer to that. By the time I can finish 2 more patients. So I think we run short of our time sometimes. That is the main thing which we find when encountering this. And I just use my common sense in dealing with tough individuals, because when people argue with you, when people tell that you are not the right person for me, I go back. It's all up to them. We cannot go and they give a review bad about you. We cannot control them as such. We can only tell them this is what happening to you. And we can narrate the examples that we can control your sugars better than this. So I just leave it like that. I don't argue with them and then lose my control as well, sir.
So extremely well said that we need to identify, and pseudoscience is a complex socio-cultural phenomenon. See, conspiracy theories are not new. Just like patients saying statins are a myth and cholesterol is a myth and all that. You know, there are many conspiracy theories. Aliens are controlling the world. That is one conspiracy theory. Climate change is a hoax, another conspiracy theory. Like that, there are many conspiracy theories. COVID does not exist. COVID is not. One patient told me there is nothing called COVID. It is created by somebody. So there we cannot do anything. But probably at the core, like Dr. Mohan Shenoy said, the core of this misbelief is a sense of insecurity. That is at the core of this. Whether it is the alternative medicine practitioner promoting this particular belief, or whether the patient is having a belief, it is what their inner insecurity wants them to believe. Once we correct that, either directly or once we address it, or we address it by mass media, publications, social media, by directly tackling this. And like Dr. Shenoy said, these exist also because of gaps in therapy and research. And we improve ourselves. That's the right thing. And many patients, we should be just gentle about it. Okay, you want to try alternative treatment, you don't want my treatment, fine, go ahead, try it. If you are doing well, fine. If you're not doing well, come back. Come back to daddy. We are there for you when you come back. And many times they do come back. They'll try remission. HbA1c falls from 13 to 6. After 6 months, HbA1c is back from 6 to 15 and weight has gone up and so many things. So here is a question for Dr. Basavaraj. We have talked about pseudoscience a lot. And how do you, when they come back to you with, say, failed remission diet or failed hypothyroidism, they tried lifestyle measures and now TSH is 100. How do you navigate them back to more evidence-based practices? And then from now on, at least, how do you say, now from now on, choose science over pseudoscience? How do you go about that conversation? Just imagine a patient coming to you.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
that patient is sitting next to you. We can't see that patient. I think you are in your clinic, and the patient is saying, "Sir, मैंने तो diabetes plus thyroid remission diet किया. अभी तो मेरा TSH 100 हो गया. My HbA1c is 15. Please help me, doctor." What exactly are you going to tell that patient? Let's hear your views.
Sir, I practice in Bangalore, so I keep on hearing this thing. This is hub of startups. This is hub of everything. Okay, so every day, day in and day out, take it. First thing which I do is I tell them, good, very good, congratulations that you have that health-seeking behavior that at least
Yes.
now you have started thinking what can be done, and there's always a lag. Okay, now they understand that they failed. It takes them 3 months. 3 months is the earliest, I should say. 6 months, sometimes 1 year. Then comes my next punchline. There I durust that. Okay, so now this is what you have come there. So there, the whole of trust building between the doctor and the patient. Yes, he understands my part of the story. He understands I was chasing a mirage. He understands that I was running behind something. So from there, it all starts. Then now you'll have to come to the problem parts of the so-called reversal setups which they do, which are unsustainable, which you cannot do long term. We do not have a long-term data of whether it is helpful, not helpful, how it will do all of these things. So, but ultimately, what we understand, what we know, coming to the basic ground level is that good control of diabetes is going to make you lead your life in a much more comfortable way, good quality of life on a longer life without complications. So then that becomes the story. Then next comes is the point where you'll have to get into their inner core, try to make them tell that you and me, we are not fighting together. We are actually together in the same team trying to fight diabetes. Okay, that is only possible if we are a team together, and we should be able to defeat that guy or whatever the diabetes. If at all we don't trust each other, then the diabetes will obviously win. So then that becomes my next move. Then they'll open up. No, doctor, yes, you are correct. It is very difficult. Then the challenges and all of those things. Now what I come to telling is, whatever you have done there, do 50% of it and take my medicine. You start improving on your lifestyle day by day, sustainable. You improve every week. 1% is what I target I give them. In a year, you are more than 50% better, lot better than what I am. So probably then I think you are a lot more better. So slow and sustainable changes in your lifestyle is the key. Then, okay, sometimes you'll have to show them some small gains wherein they have moved out from their HbA1c from 7.8 to 7.6. Tap their back, you're doing good, but little bit of more efforts, more constrict, more focus thing is required. And then sometimes they go back, you'll have to still hold them back. That's okay. Sometimes it happens. This is again, we are seeing a post-festive season where I see most of my patients coming blazing with their HbA1cs beyond 10, 9 and all of that. Tell them, okay, that's okay once in a while, but now get back to your story. Just like what Dr. Mohan sir said, use your common sense to deal with their inner self and try to get into their shoes and try to make them understand and tell them. Yes, some people have reversed. So first thing which I tell is reversal is a myth. We do not use the word reversal because reversal gives us a false connotation that it goes away and it goes away for the rest of life. No, so that's why we use the word remission. As Dr. Mishra said, we can remit your diabetes, or you can remit your diabetes, provided these all things fall in place, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, yes, doc, it makes some sense and all of that. So that's what, like, in this digital health and all of this stuff, this is again a wonderful time we are all in, sir. Basically, because we have got so much of digital world growing, trying to help medicine, so much of research growing in. But there, underneath is the shadows of science, fosters pseudoscience also. As you have rightly mentioned, you cannot get away with this pseudoscience at all. Until science exists, pseudoscience will be there. But yes, definitely we'll have to figure out to what minimalistic level or minimalistic influence, bad influence it can have towards patients. So that's all like what the measures which you have measured, which you have told, dualistic approach of me acting as a doctor and a good influencer. So probably these are the ways out, I think, which we'll have to deal with.
I
Sir,
really like your approach, because your approach about, that the patient has come back, okay, now you came back, you have tried the sign, you are trying to help yourself, so that's fine. And the second thing is that now we are a team, let us work together. And the third thing you said that now let's go step by step and slowly get back to health. So I think all these are excellent points. Now I have a very difficult question for Dr. Ipsita Mishra. Uh, now there is all this talk about traditional remedies, Indian culture, Indian history, may or may not have scientific backing, but some of them certainly work, some of them may not work, some of them do not work. For example, intermittent fasting and time-restricted eating is known to be effective for years, but now they're saying we Indians only used to eat 2 times a day and everything. But so that's all fine. But when the patient is following this kind of advice and the patient's sugars are high, or the patient's thyroid TSH is high, thyroid not controlled, we have to, it's a very delicate task, very diplomatic. We can't immediately say something against any. How do you tackle that patient? What are
When
your
I
views
was
to
in
other
my
doctors?
right, sir. When I was in my first year of training, sir, the first question which was put by to me by my professor was, in your OPD, majority of the patients will say that they are taking fenugreek seed powder, Karela, and that works. Does it really work in bringing down the sugar levels? That time I was like awestruck. I said, what will be my reply? Then at that time, maybe a couple of years back, I did go back. Found out, and of course, there is no scientific evidence. But then, for some people, I mean, with those drugs, maybe those who are having pre-diabetics or those who are on the lower side, I mean, you see the results. You can't comment on that, but you do see results, and that time you do not know what to say. So I don't think there would be any patient or majority of them who would not be taking those Karela Jamun juices and all those Ambe related, Neutralite related products to bring down these parameters under control. When they come to us, what I do is, you cannot just say that okay, immediately stop it, or cannot say that no, they do not you can have any benefit, because the patients will not take it on a good note. So when they're convinced to take the conventional therapy, the modern medical therapy, so I just say that you take this, and if you want to continue with certain preparations, your methi powders, your Karela juices, some herbal teas, you reduce it, and then gradually, if the drug is working and all things are achieved, I think we can stop that. It will not give us any added benefits. Rather, you will have more of GERD problems. So in that approach, if I go, then they are more adherent to me. If directly from the beginning I say that no, they are useless and they will not work, it doesn't work out with the patients if you are so overtly direct with them. We cannot eradicate the concept of traditional practices, at least in our country. So when they come to us, you have to be diplomatic, dualistic, rather, so the word that you have used, and take it and try to manage it, handle it.
Completely well said. We cannot be fighting with our patients. And we are all Indians, and there are some great things in the Indian culture, many great
Right,
things
sir.
which we can follow. And these misconceptions are not only in Indian culture, they are there in every culture. For example, bulletproof coffee. I think black coffee mixed with butter. Then, apple cider vinegar. I mean, I never heard of these things when I was a child. I've heard of apple. I remember some vinegar and all lying in the house, but I have not heard of apple cider vinegar. I think so. All these things exist in all cultures, not just Indian cultures. We have to see whether it's good for our patients or not. And we have a moral obligation to do that. And especially our professional societies have an important role there. So, Dr. Mohan Shenoy, you are looking after the Endocrine Society of India, the Kerala Endocrine Society, the Indian Thyroid Society. You're handling the social media. How can healthcare professionals in these groups, how can these societies uh, uh, cover this issue? How can we give the message of right medical advice through this professional societies, and what role can people, this conference is attended now by more than 1,730 doctors. In fact, as we are speaking, the number has gone up to 1,780 logins. And that's because we are talking about very important day-to-day issues. So how can doctors, correct groups, professional groups assist in this?
So the thing is that whatever we discussed for the last half an hour, there are 4 subdivisions of what we discussed. The first one is anti-science beliefs, like you have the anti-vaccination belief people. And the second one is the belief systems which have less empirical support, like homeopathy, naturopathy, astrology, all those things. And the third one is some science misconceptions, as we have told, so many things which are unproven alternatives beliefs. And the fourth one is that science myths, so many myths that we have done. So all these 4 make sure that we are the pseudoscience group. So I think it is not easy for a society of an organization as such to do. We should partner with the Indian Medical Association. That is one thing. I think all of us should be part of the IMA, and I am very happy that IMA is doing so many workshops to tackle these issues. Second thing is that we should release some patient information leaflets. So we are doing that as part of the ESI. So last year we had a group which has released a ESI Chetna project, which we had at least 9 different broad headings which we discussed, like thyroid, obesity, diabetes, PCOS, adrenal issues, so many other endocrine organs and myths. So that we dealt with the patient communication network. So we gave them that easy words which patients can understand. So that is one thing which we did. We released some patient information leaflets. And then the fourth one is the next is reaching out to the care people, because people who take care of such people do have some issues. So then which is social network issues. That is what awareness we did. So 4 different ways we can do. One is partnering with the IMA, the Rotary clubs, the Lions Club, and other social organizations which can definitely partner and with the stakeholders. Second one is building trust in the patients by giving them information which we have. Third one is giving some leaflets which definitely do have a value because they stay with them forever. And the fourth one is giving them time to understand which is working best for them. So that is what we do. And societies as such cannot do much unless we ourselves go with. So I think we should be the first person to should stand by the patients and help them out, and then partner with society.
I completely agree. Thank you for discussing all the tools, leaflets, flyers, information, talking to patients. I think all this together helps. And if the society releases books and bulletins, like you mentioned, the Endocrine Society of Maharashtra also released one recently on all the common endocrine disorders. So I think it is very important. And may I ask Dr. Basavaraj to now sum up his views about digital misinformation and digital health solutions which can target that, including the digital apps and packages which exist. Your final views on the whole issue of medical misinformation and pseudoscience.
Yeah, medical disinformation is very rampant. Got to be very careful. Have to have our own approaches, individual, society-based, and also at a broader level, at an IMA level also. We can see that happening there. Apps, we need to be more diligent with these healthcare apps, that you need to look on the validation, the scientific support, the kind of data they have pulled off, and all of those things. We need to be very clear on those things. Try to dig deep into these apps. Try to see what work they have done for the patient care base and things. And pseudoscience, a very emerging topic, a very, very important topic, which has been there for the past 250 years, as we thought. With emergence of science, pseudoscience will go away. But no, with emergence more data comes more pseudoscience. So pseudoscience fosters, or pseudoscience actually takes the shelter of science and tries to project itself as a scientific thing. So we got to be very careful. We got to have our analytical minds always in place to differentiate between pseudoscience versus science, and got to be diligent and to looking towards what best can be done towards patient care. So I think those are my key takeaways, sir.
I think wonderfully said. So misinformation is really as bad or worse than the side effects of any drug. Misinformation can harm. In fact, there's a study from Europe which shows that misinformation about statin led to patients stopping statin, and stopping of that statin increased the risk of cardiovascular events in that population. So direct evidence that misinformation can harm. We as doctors need to tackle misinformation by showing empathy and friendship with the patient, encouraging a return to health through a step-by-step approach, and finally, through appropriate tools by working with various societies and educating them, educating the patient, making the patient aware. As long as science is there, pseudoscience will be there. And over to Dr. So thank you all for being here. Over to Dr. Oshley for the next part, the Modern Sulfonylurea Symposium, where I'm going to ask questions to all the experts. Dr. Oshley, would you like to ask a question or should I ask?
No, sir, you can ask. Please go ahead. We will be projecting the screen.
So now first question to Dr. Mohan Shenoy. How do you see the future of dual fixed drug combination of modern sulfonylurea and metformin versus the triple FDCs of sulfonylurea, metformin, and SGLT2 DPP4 for management of type 2 diabetes? So glimepiride metformin versus glimepiride gliptin metformin or glimepiride gliflozin metformin, your views?
Yes, sir. So the first thing is that combination therapy is very good because I think India is one of the big hubs for all these combinations. They call it Jugaad, but I think patients benefit a lot because the cost has come down, the pill burden has come down, the quality of life has improved, and they are compliant with the medicines correctly, and that improves the overall diabetes care. So on that side, I think combination therapy is wonderful, and fixed dose combination, I think regarding triple dose combination, previously we had a triple combination with gliflozin, that is pioglitazone and all those things. Thankfully, we are, because those effects we know, so that's why they have put a safer one, which is DPP4 inhibitor along with this. And along with that, now we have got the entry of the gliflozins, that is the SGLT2. So the problem with SGLT2, they are like pleiotropic, more powerful than gliptins. So whenever I have a patient on a stable dose of gliflozins, a stable dose of sulfonylureas, with receiving a high dose of metformin, for them only I go for the triple FDC of metformin, sulfonylurea plus your gliflozins. But gliptins, I'm very happy to add them at any time because they are quite easy to be understood and easy to be understood. Because whenever I feel elderly patient comes, when a person forgets medicines, then the FDCs definitely hold good. And only the problem with is that, as I told you, the gliflozins, whenever I feel that a patient is not able to understand that that they have to take enough water, take the and hygiene correctly, for those people, I definitely give the FDC with metformin and sulfonylurea plus other things. Then only then I add the triple with gliflozins. But I find them very useful in practice.
I think very well said. Thank you for that opinion. And now, Dr. Ipsita Mishra, your views on glimepiride metformin, the time-tested one, versus the glimepiride metformin DPP4 or glimepiride metformin SGLT2.
So Dr. Shenoy has told the major part of using a triple drug FDC. But what I believe in the triple drug FDC and what I see is the Indian diet which the people they take here. If we go for a triple drug FDC, then a SU metformin along with a alpha glucosidase inhibitor or a DPP4 inhibitor. Of course, we don't use pioglitazone in the triple drug FDCs these days. That has come down. But though pioglitazone being having its good effects, its pleiotropic actions, it does exist. It is definitely a wonderful drug. But down the timeline, its use has come down. So glucosidase inhibitors, which is one which I see in routine practice because of the nature of the food that is consumed in our setup. So that does give an added advantage. About a FDC using SGLT2 inhibitors, SUs and metformins, it is always, I mean, at the back of my mind, the risk of hypoglycemia does occur because if you add SGLT2 inhibitors along with those insulin secretagogues, then definitely, sir, depending upon the patient category, the risk of hypoglycemia does exist. So on a guarded note, it may be considered, but as of yet, I am a bit skeptical of that use. But with DPP4 inhibitors, definitely a FDC with these three drugs, SU, metformin, and DPP4s, it can give us a good outcome. We're exploiting, improving the insulin sensitivity part and targeting our glycemic controls, because we know that in Asians, DPP4 inhibitors do play a good role in achieving the glycemic parameters along with its added advantages. And the risk of hypoglycemia, we know the way in which DPP4 inhibitors act. So if the glucose is less than 72, they will not cause more or not exacerbate the insulin release. So probably that is definitely less with that FDC of DPP4, SU, and metformin. That is what is my take, sir.
So thank you for that, and I completely agree with your view that you need to look at an individualized regimen rather than putting everybody on that, and the risk of hypoglycemia has to be considered. Dr. Basavaraj, your views on this? Nowadays, there are so many combinations that you have to really think that which combination is not available, that is more rare than the combination which is available.
Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Absolutely, very well put, sir. See, now I just want to take an analogy again. I love to give examples. So now the analogy is, I'll wait and watch how Mumbai Indian performs when Rohit Sharma is checked off and Hardik Pandya is given the captaincy. Hardik Pandya plays well with Gujarat Titans, that is very well known. But Rohit Sharma has proven his mettle with Mumbai Indians as he has won so
Yeah.
many. So now take a yes, both has its own place. But what will be the question is, what will be the future of metformin and sulfonylurea in this given context? Definitely, Rohit Sharma will be playing. He'll be blazing. He'll be coming out with vengeance. So definitely, glimepiride metformin has a place which definitely will be there. And I do stand with Dr. Mishra, Dr. Ipsita Mishra, that definitely there'll be some skepticism. I'd still want to wait and watch and see how things roll out. And yes, a couple of very well decent patients who are pretty much very well controlled on those fixed drug on those combinations individually, I might try combining and giving him a additional advantage of decreasing pill burden. But but yes, both of them have their own place, and you'll have to use the right key for the right lock. So use the right drug for the right patient. Sir.
Well said, well said, and I really enjoyed listening to all three of you. My view is that, as I said, there are so many combinations that one has to really think of what are the combinations which are not available. And if you try to, it's not very difficult to imagine that one day those combinations will also come into reality, except for maybe an injection insulin. But oral metformin cannot be combined, obviously, but I don't know, somebody may even think of that also, but it might happen. So again, to take the analogy of cricket by Dr. Basavaraj further, not all senior players need to be retired, and not every player who's not performed needs to be given the same punishment. For example, they said sulfonylureas are bad, but not all sulfonylureas are bad. Some of the poor performing players like glibenclamide can be retired, but good performing players like, say, glimepiride and gliclazide have a role today. And similarly, not every senior combination needs to be pulled out. There are combinations that are working. Yes, glimepiride, DPP4, metformin, SGLT2, and so many connotations are there. But if you look at the robust evidence of decades of experience of glimepiride and metformin combination, glimepiride increasing insulin secretion, metformin improving sensitivity, I think it's even been there longer than Rohit Sharma, for example. It's been there for years. So I think we should always stick to the time-tested drugs, but again, for niche areas to reduce the pill burden, reduce the cost, as exceptions, we should carefully choose which FDC we are going to use. So tailor the treatment and decide on which are the drugs that should not be retired, which should be retired, and please keep the drugs which are performing and helping our patients. On that note, I may thank the spectacular success of this event. Thanks to Stellar's faculty, Dr. Mohan Shenoy, Dr. Ipsita Mishra, and Dr. Basavaraj. And thank you all for being here, and over to Dr. Ashley for the final comments and wrap up.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Unnikrishnan, sir. It was indeed an amazing session, and I'm really falling short of words to express my word of thanks. So I would like to start by thanking Dr. Unnikrishnan sir for being such an amiable host, for being so expository as always, and thank you, Dr. Basavaraj sir and Dr. Unni sir, for all the analogies which you have used. Thank you so much, our expert panel, Dr. Mohan sir, Dr. Ipsita, and Dr. Basavaraj again, for sharing your knowledge, time, and wisdom with us. And thank you for making us pen down all those approaches, pragmatic approaches. Dear delegates, thank you for joining. We approximately had more than 1,830 logins today. And last but not the least, I would like to thank my team USV and the digital team. Without the support, this would not have been possible. So thank you, everybody, and have a great night ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and greetings and
Thank
bye
you,
to
sir.
everybody. Thank you.
Enjoyed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you
night.
so much.